Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Alondra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. If you had the extended weekend for the 4th of July, back at it today. Welcome. Right there with you, man. Long layoff, a little family vacation, 4th of July overlapping, and some time away. Really enjoyed it. Hope you all did as well. Thanks again to Taylor and Musso, who held it down while I was away. Fired up to be back. And a week from today, we will be in Atlanta at SEC Football Media Days. Our coverage all week brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing, where we are giving away $10,000 cash. All you got to do is sign up for a free no-obligation roofing inspection. You're automatically entered to win $10,000 cash. Winner will be announced the day we get back from SEC Media Days on Friday, July the 18th. ParrishBuilt.com. All right, just after further review, and glad you're hanging out with us here as we roll around. A great honor for an LSU baseball prospect for the class of 2026. And I understand we are staring right now at the 2025 draft and what members of this 2025 signing class might hear their names called, might never show up on campus. But Malachi Washington, who is out of Georgia in the Atlanta area, was named the National Underclass Player of the Year. So he's a high school junior, rising senior, 6'1", 185 pounds. He's out of Parkview High School in Georgia. As a junior, hit .538 with 15 homers and 59 RBI. Dude hit .538. Also can play all over the field. He'll play anywhere in the outfield. He can play in the infield. He even pitches for his high school team, which is pretty common, right? You're the best player in the country. You're going to play all over. William Schmidt was a great example of this. The dominant starting pitcher at Catholic High, but also played some shortstop and hit his senior year. Of course, came to LSU and is focused solely on pitching now. But I know the natural reaction to that from a lot of people is, well, he'll never show up on campus. And you might be right. Malachi Washington may, a year from now, be a guy that is projected in the top half of round one, takes a big signing bonus, and never shows up on campus. That could happen. He could be Connor Griffin. Connor Griffin was a kid out of Mississippi, committed to LSU early. He just kept getting bigger and bigger, ends up being the 9th pick of the draft by Pittsburgh. And right now, he's the top prospect in the Pirates organization, in the minor leagues, in the Pirates organization. I mean, he has shot up boards in prospect ranking lists. He's incredible. I mean, he was described to me as a sophomore in high school by scouts as the Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, like that type of dude in the outfield. That type of size, athleticism, power, all of it. He's the rare dude that comes along every 10 or 15 years, and he was the next one, and he lived up to it throughout the whole pre-draft process, went 9th overall, and he's doing great in the minors right now. Maybe that's Malachi Washington next year. Or maybe he's Cade Arrambide. Because I'll remind you that Cade Arrambide, a year ago, was a guy that everyone thought was sure to sign a pro contract coming out of high school. He was the best catching prospect in America. Well, he goes and plays his senior year. The bat didn't really come along his senior year. Had a little down year offensively as a senior. Stayed true to his number. Ends up on LSU's campus. There's Dylan Cruz. Dylan Cruz was a guy who I think a lot of pro scouts knew was going to be a tough sign. his family does very well. It was going to be a challenge because money wasn't going to be at the core of Dylan Cruz's decision. And lo and behold, he ended up not getting the offer he wanted coming out of high school because he knew, even though what he was offered was in the seven figures, he could come to LSU and eventually be the second pick of the draft and make $10 million in a signing bonus in one fell swoop, which is ultimately what happened. Wins the Golden Spikes, wins a national championship, forever legacy at LSU, second pick of the draft, made his money. And that was already in the show, by the way. There's other cautionary tales. There's Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson, when he signed with LSU and showed up on campus, was the highest rated signee ever to show up on campus. It's a lefty throwing 100. Those dudes don't make it to college. Cam Johnson did and struggled with command, was here for a year, went to Oklahoma, struggled with command, and we'll see what the future holds for him. I hope it's very bright and there's tremendous upside and it works for him. I hope he gains his command and becomes a great pitcher because I want people to succeed. Cam Johnson was the highest rated prospect ever to show up on campus until Derek Curiel did. And that's a guy who a year ago, during the summer before the draft, made the announcement that he was not going to sign a pro contract, that he was going to show up at LSU. And lo and behold, seems like that's a pretty good decision. Starts every game as a freshman, leads the team in batting average, was awesome this year, playing in the outfield. And he'll be a draft-eligible sophomore next year, and he'll be a guy that goes in round one, probably top half of round one, especially if some of that power tool develops from his freshman to his sophomore year. There's William Schmidt, who we just talked about as well, guy who just wanted to play for LSU. And then there's Alex Bregman, who, more than a decade ago now, again, was a guy who everybody thought was going to go straight to the pros. But he broke a bone in his hand his senior year. It limited his ability to play his senior year of high school. And so scouts didn't take him in round one. And he said, if I don't go in round one, don't take me because I'm going to school. So we all know famously Bregman ended up wearing number 30 his first year on campus as an acknowledgement of the 30 teams that passed on him in round one. And ends up winning the Brooks Wallace Award, becomes an All-American, gets to Omaha a couple of times, ends up becoming the number 2 pick in the draft, and has gone on to be a 3-time All-Star and made 9 figures and multi-time World Series champ. And, potentially, if he plays another decade at the clip he is, we'll see. Maybe one day you're talking about the Hall of Fame for Alex Bregman. All that to say, I get it. I get the conversation that we have a lot of times about guys that are highly touted high school dudes, and it's easy just to hand wave and say, well, they're never showing up on campus. And there's plenty of examples of guys that didn't, and guys we thought would be on campus, and during the process, it went the other way. I mean, Miguel Cairo's son a few years ago, the same thing happened. That kid was standing in line I had the conversation with Nolan Cain. All of the time invested in recruiting these young people. I remember having the conversation with Nolan Cain. He's like, Miguel Cairo, he was on campus, standing in line, registering for classes when his phone rang. His agent told him the number, boom, and then he was gone. Zach Lee, more than a decade ago, was going to be a 2-sport guy at LSU. He was literally going through fall camp after the Dodgers drafted him. He was going through fall camp for football. And I remember sitting there talking to that dude that's when LSU had a media day. It was one day you could interview anybody. And I remember going to interviewing Zach Lee. And he was there one day, and the next day, Frank McCourt and the Dodgers gave him $6 million, and we never saw him again. So the baseball draft is just such a crapshoot. There are variables involved in that draft that don't exist in any other draft. Because in the NFL draft, in the NBA draft, once you're declared and that deadline passes, you're in. You can't come back. Because you can hear your name called and come back, and you have that. That's why leverage is so important. You have to wait to see how it plays out and what's going to transpire. So, when those deals are happening and phone calls are being made and players and agents and and teams are negotiating signing bonuses and whatnot, until those things happen and definitively where someone's going to be You don't know where someone's going to be. So, look, I'll put it to you this way. In this era, college baseball coaches have more to sell to elite prospects than they ever have before. NIL is a piece of it. Rev share is a piece of it, no doubt. But maybe an even bigger piece of it is the ability to fast track to Major League Baseball and get ultimately to the second contract, which is where, in theory, you'd make your real money, not on the signing bonus. Some of these guys will make $750 on a signing bonus. That's great. I mean, that is great money for 99% of humanity. But what really matters for a lot of the guys isn't that signing bonus money. It's how do I get to the show, get to my second contract, past arbitration, my second contract, so I can make $50 million, $100 million, whatever that's going to look like. And college baseball is providing a path for those guys now more than it ever has before because of the opportunity to make money in college, play meaningful games against great competition, avoiding the long bus rides in the minors. A minor league system, by the way, which has shrunk, is contracted. You're seeing more appeal for guys to show up on college campuses. I don't know what's going to happen with Malachi Washington. Maybe he is the next Connor Griffin. Maybe he's the guy that becomes a top 10 pick and never shows up on campus. Or maybe he's Dylan Cruz or Derek Curiel or Alex Bregman or Cade Arambeedi or William Schmidt or Cam Johnson or any one of these guys who are super highly thought of that find their way to campus, and you hope for the best while they're in the purple and gold and for what may be after. But Malachi Washington, National Underclass Player of the Year by Perfect Game. He's an LSU commit. See if we can get him on campus a year from now and see him in the purple and gold. All right. It is After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Supper Club. Closed today. And they were closed for 4th of July as well. They closed Friday, Saturday for the 4th of July weekend. But they'll be reopened tomorrow and ready to serve you. I had someone shoot me a message like, Matt, I hear you talk about Supper Club and the steaks sound amazing. But when you talk about that veal parm, like it makes my mouth water. I got to go try that thing. Yes, you do. I tell you all the time. You want to have an otherworldly steak experience. You can have it at Supper Club. You can get that Omi beef, which is only served in 8 restaurants in America. 8 restaurants in the world. That's the one where Brandon had to go join a Japanese beef cooperative just to be able to apply for the opportunity to serve that beef at Supper Club. There are so many amazing steak options, but they got so much more. The sea bass is out of this world. The veal parm that I tell you about, it's gigantic veal chop on the bone still. And they bring the breaded fried veal fillet right there, that chop right there on your plate. And they bring the cheese and the sauce, everything in a skillet. They lay it on top, table side, so it stays crispy. It's amazing. You've got to try it. The only place you're going to find it is at Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com for your reservation. SupperClubBTR.com. If you're celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, graduation, a promotion, or just the fact that God let you wake up today and breathe air in your lungs. You want to celebrate? Go to Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. No Otter locks today. If you didn't hear the news, Jimmy Ott's father, Al Ott, member of the 1958 National Championship team at LSU and a longtime coach in the New Orleans area, passed away last week. And so the funeral services were today. A lot of us are down in New Orleans for that to pay our respects. But no Otter locks today, but I do understand, talk to Jimmy today, he is expected to be on air tomorrow. So we'll look forward to having the Otter back with us tomorrow. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break. Stick around.
AFR.
Oh, I got Derek Duplessis coming to my house tomorrow. Texted him over while I was on vacation. You know, they, of course, at Duplessis, they build beautiful pools and outdoor kitchens, and they can beautify your outdoor space and make it your whole backyard paradise. Well, we've got our pool, we've got our outdoor kitchen. We have a trampoline, and Drew's older now. He'll be 11. Doesn't use it as much. Our nieces and nephews are getting older. They don't use it as much. There's a big dead grass pile under the trampoline. I was like, I would like to reclaim this space. At Duplessis, they also do putting greens. And so I was like, I called Derek. I said, hey, I would love for you to come look at my space and give me some type of idea of what we could do with this for putting green, chipping space, all that sort of stuff. So he's coming tomorrow to give me what that layout and estimate will be. There's so many options. You want to make your outdoor space the show place, your backyard paradise. Let Duplessis Builders make it happen. Learn more online. Start there. DuplessisBuilders.net. DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Cover me, yeah. No walk alone.
I mean, I'm supposed to be talking about Spencer Rattler.
Cover me, yeah.
Stay in your box.
My stance is stumble, stumble.
And you go play,
This is what you wanted.
yeah, Saturday. Someone to video it and send me the video, and Candlebox plays Cover Me at L'Auberge.
I can get you that too, probably.
Staying in my lane, Alondra. Right here. Like Hitch. Staying in my box.
Oh, your box, yeah. Killing the lip syncing. Was this
The
one?
build on this song is incredible.
The build is amazing.
The build is, and then the eruption at the
Yeah.
end. Oh, great jam. Okay.
So good.
All right, let's get going. I got to make fun of Alvin Kamara in a little bit. Threw out a first pitch at a Cubs game. You probably saw it by now. He got a do-over, which I don't like at all. I don't like that he got a do-over. You know what? Let's do that now. I'll do the Spencer Rattler thing. You saw the first pitch?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Paul, can you get the first pitch? All right, so if you
I
missed
also
it.
don't like the do-over.
Kamara, I don't know why he was in Chicago, but he got to throw out the first pitch at a Cubs game. And was it Justin Steele, who's the Cubs ace, who's from Mississippi, who's a diehard Saints fan. So Kamara, the Saints Twitter puts out a photo of Kamara in the Cubs clubhouse at Steele's locker. Steele's recovering from Tommy John. He's not pitching this year. And so Kamara was getting to throw out the first pitch. Why was he in Chicago? Did we know why?
I don't know. Maybe because of that, because he was a fan of the Saints. But, I mean, he has, like,
But doesn't
literally
explain why
no ties.
Doesn't mean why Kamara would be in
Maybe he
Chicago.
just requested him.
Whatever. But I don't think Steele knew about it because Steele later went and tweeted like, I'm literally freaking out right now that Kamara was at his locker. Anyway, by the way, I love Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is on my short list of my favorite New Orleans Saints of all time. It has been magnificent watching Alvin Kamara be a New Orleans Saint. Some of the injuries have been a bummer, but that dude grinds. He plays through injuries. He will leave as the all-time rusher in Saints history, touchdown scorer in Saints history, like one of the greatest. This is not an anti-Kamara. I love Alvin Kamara. Love him. Like literally, I am in love with I am professing my love. I am in love with Alvin Kamara. Used to call him on Twitter my boo thing, Alondra. Like early Saints Alvin Kamara would call him my boo thing. Like love Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I don't love that he got a do-over on the first pitch.
No.
Can you pull it up, Paul, if you have it? Do you have it? Okay, so Alvin Kamara goes out there, Cubs game. The Cubs mascot, which is, I guess, a little Cub bear thing.
I mean.
Yeah, right. The Cub mascot, which, by the way, why is the mascot catching this pitch?
Isn't it usually a player?
Yeah, why don't we have a player out there?
Also, I found out why he was in Chicago.
Okay, why?
So it's Chicago street race weekend, and he's an ambassador for NASCAR.
Well, he's a part owner of a car.
Yeah.
One of the drivers, one of the sponsors. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So Kamara's up there, and he bounces the first one horribly. Bounces it and misses in the left-handed batter's box. I mean, it's really bad because it's about 45 feet, and it's just at a terrible angle. It's awful. And he doesn't move. He pats the glove.
Like,
give it back. Like, give it back. They're booing him. And he's telling him shut up, which I love that, by the way. They're booing him, and he's telling him shut up. So he gets the ball back. I do respect that he went from the bump. If you go throw first pitch in front of the mound, no respect for me. Unless if you're 100 years old or a kid. Like, you got to go on the bump, you got to toe the rubber, and you got to get it there.
Yeah.
Now, the second one, he missed terribly wide to the right, but at least he got it there in the air, which was a good thing. It does it never ceases to amaze me how much some people struggle to throw a baseball.
Like Joe Burrow?
Yeah, Burrows was bad.
Yeah.
Burrows was bad.
It gave me the ick.
I mean, surely Joe Burrow played baseball
Had to have.
in his life.
Yeah.
This was a thing that Jacques and I would talk about every year during Red, Rock, and Blue. So if you don't remember, Jacques Doucet, shout out, does a charity event every year, the Red, Rock, and Blue charity softball tournament. But in conjunction with the charity tournament, he would also do a celebrity softball game. And there'd be like local media invited to play and athletes and dignitaries and all different type, whatever. And Jacques and I were the coaches. So we would draft the team on air. And trust me, the only reason Jacques wanted to use my show for the promotion, which was great. I was happy to do it. It was great. It worked. We did it for many years. It was a lot of fun. Only to say, like, I'm not a coach for any reason other than it was good promotion for the event. Well, early in the drafts, I would pick like the best athletes, thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna get dudes that are fast. Because I get them on base and they'll score, right? I mean, ball and play, they'll score. The problem was like a lot of dudes that played football or basketball were just incompetent on a baseball field, even the slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
And my thought was, well, and Jacques would have guys that were pitchers like Doug Thompson or Lane Mestape. And I'm like, well, I don't want the pitchers, Patrick Coogan. But what you forget is like, dude, pitchers are great baseball players. Like they all hit and play positions their whole lives. Of course, they're like, they can go handle themselves in a friggin' slow pitch softball. So I got to the point where I didn't draft. All I drafted
just pitchers
were baseball players.
Oh.
I mean, I'd have David DeLucci was always my first pick.
Shout out
and then
Luch.
I'm drafting Todd Walker and Lane Mestape, Blair Barbier. Like, if you played I don't care what position you're on my team.
Right.
I mean, Jason Williams, shout out, like still travels the world playing like fast pitch softball, or maybe it's slow pitch. Either way, but like former LSU shortstop who left LSU as the leading hitter in the history of the program when he finished here in '96. But it got to that point. That's where I drafted, and then I just started wrecking Jacques every year. We'd run rule him and everything. Your boy homered at Tiger Park one year.
Let's go.
How about that, bro?
More lore.
Lefty. I just uppercut. I'm like, this ball is leaving the yard. I'm like, that fence is 200 feet. Like this ball is leaving the yard. Like, if they made me hit righty, it might have been a little more of a challenge. But I was like, I'm just uppercutting. I'm elevating this baseball, and it will leave the yard. It did. Yeah, more. Look at what you've learned about me today.
I know.
By the way, look at the final segment of the rundown.
I learned so much.
Normally we do otter locks. There's no Jimmy today, so there was Paul can attest to this. There was a brief time where I tried to institute what we learned as the final segment of the show. And unfortunately, like Paul
Jimmy never.
Well, no, Paul and Musso just never. Well, yeah, Jimmy would never leave his time, but then Paul and Musso would never actually write down what they learned.
Yeah.
And so, or we just ran out of time and didn't get to it. Which would you say it was, Paul?
Probably running out of time.
It was more so we forgot to write something down.
Yeah, it was definitely like. Hey, Bob,
I'm trying to help him out.
Musso, what'd you learn? He's like grabbing the rundown. Like, what? Let me make up something quickly. What did I learn today?
We would write down the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So today,
man.
because there's no Jimmy,
Yeah.
here's your fair warning. We're gonna do what we learned.
Okay.
Okay.
I already got him.
So you've got a couple.
Yeah.
Paul, we'll get to what we learned.
take
so make sure
mine.
you have it. You know.
Don't take mine.
I got to do some thinking here.
Okay. Look, we've had a lot today.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of stuff on the show today. Tons of stuff. If you miss anything, remember AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows at reliefwindows.com. It is good to be back. We still got a couple of segments. You can email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. The other thing I'll tell you, Alondra, I don't know if Paul wants to pull this up. You could.
More lore?
Here's another piece of lore if you'd like it. Go to YouTube and you can type in Matt Moscona first pitch.
Oh.
What?
I thought like somebody had an open mic video up somewhere, and I almost got super excited that one of your open mic videos was on the internet. But
I don't think any of my open mic videos are on the
that's
internet.
very disappointing.
I mean, I'll tell you,
You think somebody's got a VHS of it somewhere?
I don't think so.
That's very disappointing.
It just, there was no, my 21st birthday, my friend and I played open mic at Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah.
And then we went to that awful pirate bar next to the Waffle House on College Drive. I was my buddy's wingman that night.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, it's my birthday, but
Pirate bar. I don't think that's there anymore.
it's not the pirate bar.
Then maybe it is. I just don't know what you're talking about.
You know where the Waffle House is on College?
Yeah,
We
and
are
that
losing
raggedy ass building.
Yes.
Next to it.
Yes.
You should go to that bar.
I went one time on my
That was
21st
probably enough.
birthday. Yeah, that was plenty enough.
Yeah.
That was plenty enough. Whew. Anyway, but in like 03, nobody had a cell phone. Nobody was videoing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that, like, I've lived in a pre-cell phone world.
Yeah.
You know, there's people older than me that are like, what are you talking about, kid? I lived before TV. I'm like, respect to the OGs.
Yeah.
We all have our own existence, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you're going to be able to tell 20 years from now, people, I lived in a world before there was Twitter.
Yeah. iPhones.
Do you remember life without iPhones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think y'all think I'm younger than I am.
No, I know how old you are.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what your awareness is and recollection of things. That's
I was also like broke growing up, so we didn't have technology.
happens. Paul, you got it? Yeah. All right, here you go.
Do we need sound or no?
In 2010, on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge night at Alec Box Stadium, when LSU played the University of Louisiana at Lafayette Raging Cajuns, your boy threw out the first pitch, and check this out. A humdinger.
Whoa.
Mason, that's Mason. That's Mason Katz,
Okay,
by the
cool.
way. This was when freshman Mason
That
Katz.
jersey's sick.
This was freshman Mason Katz, who was a bullpen catcher as a freshman.
Yeah.
Who became like LSU's power hitting first baseman.
Yeah.
Mason Katz. Mason Katz was my first pitch catcher. And I was like, I told him, we warmed up in front of the dugout before. I was like, straight up, I'm gonna tell you this. Like, I'm going on the mound. I'm throwing. I pitched all my life. I was like, I'm throwing it. All right, so be ready, because in this, if anything, it's gonna elevate because it is not gonna bounce.
Right.
I'm telling you, this is either gonna be at your face or you're getting out of the squat.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be straight. It's gonna get there.
It's a good pitch.
But if you see the video, I'm laughing because Hannegriff, who was the color analyst for LSU at the time, along with Jim Hawthorne, Hannegriff was razzing me all week about, like, you can't bounce it. You can't bounce it. So I told him, I'm like, brother, it ain't. I'm telling you, it ain't bouncing.
It's not happening.
And so that's him. I looked up and I was like, was it? And so he gave me one of these, like, the strike calls from the press box. That's what I was thinking.
I love Hanny.
Handy's great. That's on YouTube. And now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
See, Alondra, look what you've learned about me today.
Lore.
How about this? Lord. All right, it's after further review. Spencer Rattler sat down on the Rich Eisen show and talked not only about his first year in the NFL, but what's going to be like in a new offense. You'll hear some of that when we come back at AFR.
AFR.
Can we get River City's 1 hour air up to the courthouse in Union Parish so Trey Holly can just get this friggin' court date done already? Bottom line is, if your AC goes out and you're sitting there sweating and it's a weekend or a holiday weekend, like the 4th of July this past weekend, and you can't get anybody on the horn who will come out, you know who will? River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. You see them all over town for a lot of reasons. Well, they're the best technicians. They always show up. They value your time and your money. They're going to do it right the first time. It's River City's 1 hour air. Y'all, listen. You can cut corners, hire Chuck in a truck, think he's going to save you a few bucks. In time, you're going to end up paying more when they don't do it right the first time. Get it right the first time. River City's 1 hour air.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
All right, we will get to what we learned here in about 15 minutes or so. Remember, you can email us, tweet us, or text us. 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I actually would love to read your tweets and whatnot and emails, but as Alondra and Paul have learned here, my internet is out on this machine. I don't understand it. Both of you have internet. We're in the same room. We're connected to the same thing, and I don't, but you do. So, I don't know.
use your phone?
Yeah, I guess it could. Or we could just talk about Spencer Rattler. So let's do that. Spencer Rattler was a guest on the Rich Eisen show, and I'll tell you, I'm guilty of this as well. I think we have talked so much about Saints quarterback situation. I have just assumed that Tyler Shuck is going to be the starting quarterback. The Saints used a second-round pick on him. It's the highest they've drafted a quarterback since Archie Manning. We all know the whole thing. He has really ingratiated himself very well early. There was a really cool thing Brandon Cooks did this past weekend where Brandon Cooks took Tyler Shuck, some of the other receivers, and they went and had sort of a camp, a throwing session all together. Spencer Rattler was not there, however, because he was putting on his youth camp in Columbia, South Carolina. Total respect, nothing against that at all. But Spencer Rattler on the Rich Eisen show, they covered a lot of ground, including like the thing maybe sometimes I don't want to lose sight of this is that even though he didn't win any of his starts, Rattler still made a handful of starts. So he has NFL experience going into this year. And Rich Eisen asked Spencer Rattler what he learned in that first year in the NFL.
Just the NFL game overall, the preparation, obviously the skill set is at a different level. Each and every week you're playing the best guys in the world. So preparation is key. Just seeing the speed of everything, getting to see all the different defenses, especially being a young rookie quarterback going against, guys like Todd Bowles and many other great coordinators who are going to throw a lot of different stuff at you. So it was great to go back and watch that film and get those reps. And now going into year two, feel a little better about everything.
Yeah, the Todd Bowles example is a great one because remember, that was the game where Rattler came in and the offense was in fuego in the first half. And then they just blitzed the hell out of Spencer Rattler in the second half and the Saints couldn't move the football. So all those things are learning experiences that Rattler has that Shuck doesn't. But their journeys were similar. And one of the things that Rich Eisen also asked was about the competition. And if this is truly an open competition between the two, or if the general assumption is that Tyler Shuck's going to win the job.
Yeah, it's an open competition. We've been competing every day. I think competition is great for both of us, not just me and Tyler, but Jake Haener. We got Hunter Deckers in there as well. So we got 4 good quarterbacks in that room. Got a lot of respect for all of those guys, and we bond really well. That's what I like. It's a tight-knit room. We all respect each other's games, and we all push each other every day.
He's saying all the right things. In bringing up both Hunter Deckers and Jake Haener, I can understand those are his teammates. He's going to mention them. But realistically, you're not keeping 4 quarterbacks on the roster, and if one of those guys does stick around, it's going to be as a practice squad member. You're not going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. So those 2 likely won't be on the team. Let me say both of them won't be on the team. One of them will likely be your practice squad quarterback. But this is a Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck battle, and these are 2 guys who in their college careers both faced a lot of adversity. They both transferred from their original school. We know Shuck's path went from Oregon to Texas Tech to Louisville. Rattler went from Oklahoma to South Carolina. Rattler was in college for 5 years. Shuck was in college for 7 years. Freaking doctor over here, Dr. Shuck. But Rattler was asked about Tyler Shuck and their journeys.
100%. I've been through a ton of adversity as well, throughout college. And I think that makes you a better player coming into the NFL because, the earlier you see adversity, the better, because you're going to see it in the NFL at any point, especially playing quarterback as a young guy.
It's one of the things I love about both these guys, and I said it when the Saints drafted Rattler a year ago, is if you remember the moment when Rattler got drafted, a lot of guys in their draft room, there's celebrations, there's hugs and high fives and sometimes tears and all. If you remember what it looked like, Spencer Rattler's watching the TV, straight-faced, nodding his head, puts the hat on. Like, it was very workmanlike. That's all I needed was the opportunity. Let's go to work. And that really resonated for a guy that was at one point a projected number 1 overall pick who was humbled, lost his job to Caleb Williams, who became the number 1 overall pick, transferred to South Carolina, had success there, and then still saw his draft stock falling around 5. There's merit in life, no matter what you do, to facing adversity and finding your way through it. It's cliche to say you're battle tested, but it's true. But Tyler Shuck has faced that as well with the injuries, being in college since 2018. Tyler Shuck started in Oregon the first year Joe Burrow was the quarterback at LSU. Think about that. Like, it's been a long time. So you have two dudes that are older, that have faced a lot of adversity and made through. So their character of these guys I like a lot. It's really a matter of, are they able to be quality caliber starting quarterbacks in the NFL? And one other thing that Rattler was asked was about how Kellen Moore's offense complements his game. And it's interesting because this parallels something that Ross Jackson wrote about over at LouisianaSports.net that I'll tell you about in just a second.
Wait, sorry, I can't find it for some reason.
It's number 11. Rattler number 11, please.
Do you think, Spencer?
I think just like he wants us to play like point guards, distribute the ball, get the ball in your playmakers' hands. You see all the success he's had with, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, just a few of the guys to name, but all those guys can move with their legs a little bit. They could throw the ball. I think, that suits my game really well. I think I can move around, make plays with my feet, but definitely my strength is throwing the ball and distributing the ball. So, feel good with what he's calling and feel good about the playbook. Just want to keep diving into it.
So interesting because Ross has a piece up that he wrote just yesterday for LouisianaSports.net. Moore's play action could unlock Shuck Rattler potential. And the whole thing is Ross did a deep dive into using play, that Kellen Moore has used play action as part of the offenses where he's been with Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott throughout his time as an NFL play caller dating back to 2018, where it's been a minimum of 25%, a quarter of every dropback has been play action. And I think that's going to be so integral for whoever wins the starting job is the ability to at least show the opportunity to run the football. Why the Saints really need to have a complementary piece of this offense with the running game because of how much Kellen Moore wants to use play action as a feature within the offense. There's, I know as I'm going to talk about the Saints team, and I'm not going to be very optimistic about the season. I think they're a 4 or 5 win team. I think absolute best max, like everything goes right, I think they might be able to get to 7 wins. I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm less concerned about that this year than I am with, can you identify your future starting quarterback? Can Kelvin Banks be a franchise left tackle? Can anyone else in this rookie class show they can be a starter for you? Danny Stutzman, Quincy Riley. Like, can you find the building blocks for the next run that this team has in it? And it's going to be, hopefully, one of these two guys if they pop this year in Kellen Moore's offense. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evermore, EVA-MOR. Always got my Evermore here. Drank tons of Evermore at the beach while I was on vacation. You want to have it with you. Better source of hydration, a Louisiana product as well. Tell you all the time. Don't go buy that crappy, crinkly plastic water bottle from Texas that a lot of people buy because you save a few cents on the dollar. Buy a better product. Buy natural artesian water. Support a great Louisiana business. It's got scale everywhere. Walk into convenience stores and grocery stores all over the country, you'll see Evermore. And it's a Louisiana product. EVA-MOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. It's After Further Review. We're not going to quick break. Come back, wrap up the show. We'll do Ask Us and What We Learned. So you want to get questions in for Paul, Alondra, or me, you can do it. Email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show to get your questions in for Ask Us. We'll do that, what we learned, when we wrap up next on AFR, presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
We are brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance, the Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. I told you about Renaissance Baton Rouge and Tallulah there inside the Renaissance. My wife and a group of her girlfriends a couple of Fridays ago were over at Tallulah inside the Renaissance, and one of her friends were at their house for the 4th of July, and they were just raving about Tallulah at Renaissance. I'm telling you, if you've never experienced it, it's so worth it. If you're having an event, think Renaissance Baton Rouge. Maybe you want a night out for dinner, cocktails after work. It's a great place to go and hang. Tallulah's got great indoor-outdoor flow. They've got what they call the terrace, which is the outdoor space with the semicircle water feature with the fire in the middle of the water feature, right by the pool. It's just a great place, great ambiance. Even though you're right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, you don't feel like you're right on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel, Renaissance Baton Rouge, right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. Presented by Relief Windows. Good to be back in the saddle and glad to have you aboard with us here. Thanks to Alondra. Muso's back tomorrow, so the whole gang will be back mañana.
Muy bien.
Gracias.
You almost said grazie, didn't you?
No.
Okay.
Sounded
Sounded like you were going that way.
Nope. Again, just out of practice. Gracias.
De nada.
Congrats to Nuss. Got engaged.
Shout out Nuss. The future Mrs. and Mr. Nussmeyer.
Someone asked me why that was newsworthy, because we did write it at LouisianaSports.net. And by the way, that was our most read story on Sunday, was Nussmeyer's engagement. And I don't know, I guess the combination of he's a super newsworthy person, and I think it's just uncommon to see college athletes engaged or married. It's not to say it never happens, just uncommon. I know Hester got married. He's told that story before. He and Katie got married before his senior year, that 07 season. So it's not completely out of the ordinary, but it is uncommon. So, but congrats to Garrett Nussmeier and Ella. Ella Springfield is her name. They announced their engagement on social media. So congrats to them. And we are, I believe, we are going to have, excited about this, we're going to have LSU offensive lineman Ori Williams with us on the show tomorrow. So look forward to that. Guy probably is going to play a reserve role this year for the Tigers, but onward and upward, man. Look forward to having him and having that conversation. So, all right, it's after further review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here. We are brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 9 locations in all Lake Charles, of course, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com. Another company, great honor with the Baton Rouge Business Report, top local privately owned companies, the top 100. Our friends over at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry also on that list. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, where they specialize in the Lee Michaels experience. You can learn more online. Shop them online at lmfj.com. lmfj.com. for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, you can get your questions in for Ask Us if you want to do that. We'll also get to what we learned. Got about 2 minutes left. So I don't screw it up. Well, let me get Craig's first in here. Craig said, ask us, can we replace Musso with Alondra? She seems to not take the 420 breaks as much as Musso does. Poor guy. Poor guy's not even here to defend himself, and people are throwing out the 420 jokes.
I threw a stray at him the other day, like total accident though.
Why?
Because we were talking about how this desk sits like super low. Like I feel like I'm always hunched over when I'm producing. And I was like, well, I guess at first they had to account for Mario and Moose. And then I was like,
Mario caught a stray there.
Yeah, but
Mario's not even here.
That's true. He's not even here.
He doesn't even work here anymore.
Sorry, Mario.
Yeah. No, you're not.
Really not.
Let's just be honest. No, you're not.
It was a good joke.
It was good. All right.
But yeah, sure. I'll replace Moose.
I don't know. Mornings and afternoons. Burning at both ends, no fun. Moose did that for a while.
Yeah.
James Harrelson did that for a while, producing mornings and evenings.
I've done it for like a week, but not like for longer than that.
It
is kind of brutal.
I've done it full time before.
Yeah.
I've hosted mornings and afternoons and produced mornings and afternoons. It is not good. Okay. Before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Paulie, what did you learn?
I'm so excited for it.
I learned Oklahoma's AD is retiring.
There you go. I knew this was going to be quick. Paul never has much to say. Alondra.
I learned.
No, wait. You got to wait for ask the question.
Right.
Alondra.
Yes.
What did you learn today?
I learned a whole bunch of Matt lore. I learned that you used to go to open mics at Mellow Mushroom and you play the guitar and you can sing. And I also learned.
Wait. let's not use.
I'm using that
liberally.
loosely.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
using it
yes,
very,
yes,
very
yes,
loosely. You can pretend like you sing, and then
There was a time in my life where I had way more time to play guitar.
Yeah.
And I was much better than I am now.
I also learned that you threw out the first pitch, and there's some sick ESPN jerseys, and I want them back because I want one.
No. Singular.
There was a
singular jersey made for me for the specific purpose of throwing out that first pitch. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. That's FirstSouthLand.com. It doesn't matter if you're trying to buy that hunt property in Mississippi. And this is the time, by the way, right now. Summer is the time. You want to start getting those plots ready for hunting season coming up in the fall. This is the time to call First South Farm Credit and get that thing cranking. Hey, there's a branch near you. With more than 40 branches across 3 different states, First South Farm Credit, they are local. They are here. And for more than 100 years, First South Farm Credit has done one thing. They've helped Louisianians buy land. So if you're thinking of buying land, that hunting property, that recreational property, need 1,000 acres for agriculture or 100 acres to build your family's dream home. Maybe it's in St. Francisville or Clinton, or you want to live on the North Shore and work in New Orleans. You want to buy that acreage in Tangipahoa, they can help you do it at First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. FirstSouthLand.com.